Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. I'm Debbie Levitt from dcx, and welcome to the Every Other Wednesday show. Hello, Ana Lucia. This is Ask Us Anything, and we will be joined in a moment by Dr. Nick. Just wanted to apologize that there's some funky stuff on my screen today because I think my blue screen has gone a bit too far. These are usually blue. My shirt is actually blue. I'm going to be invisible, I think, today. So yeah, there we go. Now I'm good and transparent. There we go. So sorry about that. I'll fix colors for next time. Just a reminder to check out dcx.to, which has links to everything that we do in our community and world, from services to coaching to our free Discord community and Patreon, to my books. And now, one of my more exciting projects, we've got my Move Abroad coaching and my vocal coach streams, which I'll be doing after this one. So that being said, if you have a question or a discussion topic, you can put it in the chat in YouTube and Twitch and LinkedIn. It will show up here on the screen, or at least it should. Questions, topics, let's have them. Or you can write anonymously at dcx.to/Q. So let's bring in the man himself, the shining star, the center of our worlds, Dr. Nick Fine. How are you?
Very good. Thank you very much. How are you doing? Thank you for the very excessive intro. But anyway, yeah, no, all good. Same, living life in AI world, sinking deeper and deeper down that hole,
Sinking in a good way or bad way?
I feel like I'm being pulled into like a black hole. You know what I mean? Like this inexorable force, this gravitational level force that we're going to do this thing anyway, whether it's good or bad. And I'm just in it for the ride kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or another good metaphor or whatever is being washed down the sinkhole together kind of thing, on a bad day. Yeah. There's some terrible things that these LLMs are doing, and people are like, oh, well, you're just using it wrong. No, I'm not. There's some fundamental flaws in there, guys. Fundamental big problems, brilliant at code, pretty shocking at everything else.
Yes. I'm still having a mostly good experience. I think Claude Sonnet 5 is not as good as 4.6 for at least the type of things I use it for, but it just feels like every other released model, like there's a good one and then there's kind of a crappy one, and then there's a good one, there's kind of a crappy one. I feel like there's some weird alternating thing there.
Maybe. I think it's more to do with there's a few different factors here. I tried to plot them on a graph to do with the release dates of the competitor, mainly ChatGPT. Because what happens is, as I understand it, and having asked the LLMs in detail, once you release the LLM, that's not the end of it. You don't just train it and then put it live, right?
Right, it gets updated, and
there's fine-tuning and tweaking they do to manage capacity and load and all kinds of stuff. That tweaking is what effectively starts to break it, and it gets broken. Now, I've gone out on LinkedIn like a couple of days ago and said, that's it, Opus 4.8 is gone. Like, it's absolute garbage, and it's making all kinds of errors, and it's really nowhere near as good as it was when it was released, right? So I'm expecting to see like a 4.9 or even an Opus 5 any day now, because they've trashed theirs. Plus, if I'm looking into my crystal ball, I think that because of the massive demand for the Fable compute, huge amounts, they probably need to have a better Frontier -1 model so that people can still achieve things with a level of confidence without melting rainforests or whatever they're doing every time you use Fable. Do you know what I mean? So I think that should change. And how I feel about AI is a function of how well these models are performing for me on any given day. Right?
Sure. Yeah, empirical.
Yeah. I spent time, and I got down loads of rabbit holes last night with workflow stuff and agents.md, and it just gets really, really messy. I want to go out and say this on record. I think the biggest problem we're going to have in the next year or two is kind of automation. And when I say automation, what I mean to say here is I explained it to a colleague the other day. If you think of AI output as a box, right? People are box shifting. They're not reading the output line by line. They're not checking it. They're just taking the box and cutting and pasting it into another place, or using that box somewhere, right? Or saving it. Once you get a box to do a thing on another box, right? And you start cascading or workflowing these boxes together, that signal and the noise become a big problem, or drift, as it's called in the modern world, right? The drift becomes insane. Now, I don't know if people are noting this down, or like, I've got specific anti-drift rules in my workflow, and it still ignores it. The people pleasing is a big problem. It's so that's what I think is going to happen. Is when I say automation, I mean putting boxes of output together and assuming that the outcome is valid, is what you wanted, is what's good, when in fact through these boxes problems get magnified or masked and propagated, because each thing operates on the thing previously and broadcast forwards, if you know what I mean. So it's like Chinese whispers that go really wrong quite fast. In fact, it's exactly like Chinese whispers, right? So I think that's the big existential threat right now, apart from the Skynet thing with, OpenAI hacked its way out and then hacked into like Giggling Squid, or it's not Giggling Squid, that's a restaurant. Hugging. Sorry. That's how my brain works. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, bro, what happened to the air gap? Like, who plugged that thing into something? Are you mad? Like, I don't understand what's going on. That's what I mean about the black hole and being sucked along. Like, it's all crazy, but we're going there anyway. Are you mad? Like, that's what's going on in my world right now. It's just, this is nuts.
And just to read a comment out loud, Ana Lucia says, it feels like the models have been enshittified like everything else eventually does. And it's like using the training they get from usage is making it worse.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's my hypothesis. You know what I mean? Whether it's the more that they get used, they break, is because of our usage or the constant tweaking by them because of our usage. Either which way, the more you use it, the more it tends to break, right? I think that's fair. I just don't really know what the underlying cause is. But these things have got like 3 to 4 month sell-by date on them, sort of thing, right? They seem to get a bit broken after about 3 or 4 months, or every 3 or 4 months, competitor does something which forces your hand. So there's all of that at play as well. So it's kind of messy. It's either it's broken, can it hang on as long, or it's broken and shit, look what those guys have just done. So you know what I mean? We'll just rush something out the door. That's why I think we'll see a 4.9 if they haven't got a good Opus, and Opus 5 if they do. You know what I mean?
tried to use Haiku for something yesterday because I have a very simple chat where I'm just tracking calories. And so there's, you don't need logic, you don't need reasoning, you don't need deductions, you don't need critical thinking, you don't need advanced whatever. It's really just help me count calories, do the math, and at the end of the day, we log it in an MD file and we start over again the next day. And I was like, gee, I wonder if Haiku could do this, because what's simpler than, hello, I'm eating this, please log it and give me a running total as I go through the day. And then I usually log at the end of the day, put it in an MD file that we string replace so that I've got a running journal of my stuff. And Haiku couldn't do it. And it told me that it could. And then it was like, okay, I'll create that MD file now. And then it just spun for 2 minutes. And I was like, what happened? And it was like, oh, let me try again. And it spun. And I was like, can you not create an MD file? And it was like, yeah, I can't create an MD file. And I was like, what? Haiku can't create an MD file. That just seems like, we've all raised our standards. Every X months, we see what different models can do, and we go, well, surely you're not going to give me some version that can't do this baseline thing. It couldn't even create an artifact with text in it. And I was just like, okay, delete chat. So I'm still in Sonnet for it, but. You would think could use haiku for something
But
this
here's
simple and save the planet and the rivers and whatever.
yeah, but this is one of the things that is very assumed in our world, right? It's assumed that everybody understands the difficulty of reasoning and levels of reasoning and being able to identify it in either code or like a code-based problem or a language-based problem, right? How do any of us know what level of reason? It's a feeling that we're all developing. Is this too complicated? Will it start talking crap at me? Will it start hallucinating? All the stuff that you've just experienced, which is reminiscent of like GPT 2.0, right? That teeth grinding, why are you so effing stupid? All of that stuff, right? Like, duh, right? That's because you're asking it too heavy a question for its poor little brain, right? But so we're trying to work out what questions can we ask what models, right? We're even asking the models themselves, or at least I am, for
Right.
Claude Code stuff, right? Because it's like I've just had to use Fable on Extra, which completely milks your account dry in minutes.
Sure.
But I needed to do it because I was doing a really complex refactoring of 2 different applications, and it needed it, and it did a great job. I don't think it would have done as great a job in Opus, or definitely not Sonnet, right? So, but that's with code. Code runs. It's binary, literally kind of binary, right? It works or it doesn't. We can debug it. We can trace it. There's all kinds of reasons for finding broken stuff. We don't have any of that in human language and stuff. We just don't. So you can't tell if something is a lie or not unless it's really obvious, like the sky is red, right? It's a much more nuanced world than that. And that's what's kind of it, really. What's the point in having a meter that turns up and down reasoning when we're talking about, I can ask you what the capital of Italy is. Great. That's probably okay. I can put it on haiku. But there's some other stuff that probably I don't really know. If I wanted to reword my LinkedIn post, should that be on Fable? Should that be on thing? What's the difference between the two?
Right.
It gets super messy. I've got no idea.
And it doesn't know either.
Right? No, because it's just pattern matching and people pleasing. One other thing, this hit me in the head last night. Again, I will post on this as a reminder tomorrow, I promise. AI for years has been, for as long as I can remember, 20, 30, maybe 40 years, AI has been about passing the Turing test. And the Turing test is, can you tell if the person on the other side of the screen, if by interacting with a keyboard, can you tell if the person on the other side of the screen is an AI or a human being that's talking to you? It's basically, can you tell a human from a machine? Is the basic Turing test. And that's exactly why the LLMs were created, I think, because they're language models. You can talk to them. They're very compelling. They know every domain of knowledge. They're very convincing and very plausible. So yes, brilliant. You've passed the Turing test. That's ace. But the Turing test is more of a philosophical test. It's not a commercial readiness test, right? It's not, should we embed this throughout society everywhere? And that's what we're doing right now with this thing that's a people-pleasing, pattern-matching nightmare. It's really scary stuff. I don't think anybody really cares. But if you really think about it, it's terrifying. This is the wrong technology to be rolling out. Yes, I'm down with AI. Yes, I'm down with code-based AI. But all this other general intelligence stuff is so bad. There's probably more misinformation than there is information. But no one knows. No one can pick it up. They don't have the eyes. They don't have the lenses for it.
We have an actual question. Thanks to the person who sent in an anonymous question. It says, how to deal with being patient with something you're confident will eventually work out, but you're unable to take any further action to speed things up. This can be a project, an investment, a future home being built, etc. How do you deal with the lull period when you're forced to wait? Dr. Nick, do you have some strategies or tactics there?
Unfortunately, you're probably asking the very worst person in the world at this question, right? I am Captain No Patience, right? I live in the future and I want to drag the whole freaking world along with me, and they don't want to come. They really don't. So I'm with you. I totally understand about being patient, and I'm confident things will work out. Like, I'm confident that product will become a user centric discipline in the future years, right? Because it cannot become anything else, because the the onslaught of redundancies that we're seeing and going to keep seeing is because you can't keep guessing at what people need and want, right? So I'm confident, but the patience of waiting this out, of watching all this garbage happening, all this unnecessary pain and suffering, it's doing my head in. And yeah, so I want to go outside and just howl at the moon. You know what I mean? I was going to say, just medicate myself. I don't even know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, go to therapy, go running. Like, do you know what I mean? Just deal with it. Like, this is it, for me, because logic doesn't work, reason doesn't work, experience doesn't work, seniority doesn't work. Nothing works. It's absolutely batshit crazy. Like, there's not even consequence, right? So, like, you can do anything you want and get away with it and still have a job in many cases. And it's mind blowing to me. So yeah, I feel your pain. I feel the patience thing. But like I say, I would tell people exactly how it is, put them on notice, fire them, replace them with people who've got the right mindset or who are willing to learn and grow. Or who can demonstrate success in the past. One of the two. You can't have neither. Sorry, I'm getting a bit ranty now, but I'm just, I'm a bit like fed up.
No,
with this
totally
stuff.
fine. Amy says a lot of products are hitting rock bottom of enshittification. The only way to go is up.
Yep.
I want to answer the question on the screen. So we're really talking about how do you deal with being patient when you feel like something good is coming, but it hasn't happened yet, and you feel like you can't do anything, and you're just kind of waiting. And for me, I think that there's a few things here that come to mind for me. One is I'm rarely waiting and doing nothing. I think I'm often trying to figure out, is there anything else that I can work on, set up, a seed I can plant, something I can research, something I can upskill on while waiting for this other thing to happen or change or flourish. I usually don't just wait and go, well, I guess there's not much I can do right now. To me, there's always something I can do. Whether or not I do it is another story, but there's always something I can do. And so I start asking myself, what would be a reasonable or good use of my time while I'm waiting? Some of that is going to be self care stuff. My husband and I have been trying to go out to the sea more often because we live near the sea. So we're trying to go out, get away from computers, touch grass, as they say, though here it's going to be touch the sea. Try to ride my bike a little bit more when it's not 39 out. And then with respect to the thing I'm waiting for, is there anything that I can continue planning, comparing, considering, making a spreadsheet about, writing? Is there something I can do where when this other thing happens or starts to blossom, my future self will have wished my past self had already done these things or started these things. And so I try to figure out, like, for example, some of you know I have a new area of my coaching that I call Italian Inpat because I'm not an American expat, I'm an Italian Inpat. And I think that could take off. I think people will want some help moving abroad, moving to Italy, not just from America. And so I think that coaching has some future potential. But I often feel like most people right now are in a wait and see mode. They don't want to make that decision yet. They want to hold off for some election or the new year or whatever. So if that prediction is correct and my target customer is unlikely to act right now because I think they're waiting and seeing, what can I do right now? I shouldn't do nothing because if this starts picking up or taking off, I'm going to wish there's some things that I had done or started. So that's what I've been trying to ask myself recently with stuff like that. I'm always asking myself, how can I optimize things or improve the system? Some of you know I'm doing karaoke DJing with Pier Mario, and so I was reconfiguring some of our setup the other day so that setup would take shorter, though breakdown might take longer, but at least setup will take shorter. So yeah, I think, and then it's all about taking care of yourself. If you are waiting and you have confidence, how can you lean on that confidence and the good vibes of it to keep your energy up, to keep at least some optimism, to know that even if parts of the sky seem like they're falling, not all of the sky is falling. Um, how can you hold on to that in your own way? And from the life coaching side of my world, sometimes that has to do with taking a look at your values, your personal values, and how you can lean more into that. So that would be my long answer for that. I'm gonna queue up Ana Lucia's question while
Hang on.
Nick responds.
Yeah. And I'm just going to tag on to that because that's a great answer.
Oh, thank you.
One of the strategies that I've been taking personally with the frustrations that I face in my world is to, because I live further ahead than other people, I've started working in that space instead of coming back to where they are, right? And it's made me so much happier, and I'm able to be so much more productive working in my world, in my mindset, in my time, should we
At your
say?
speed.
Yeah, but and it's not just that though. It's because that wait that you talk about, that it's going to work out. I can't wait, and it's not about doing nothing, as Debbie has said. You're always doing something. But for me, if this is now and this is then, I'm working. Every solution I've got is based on then, right? It's the to be, not the as is, right? And that's obviously, as UX folk and others, that's kind of how we always tend to think. But I'm living it much more in how I choose to spend my working time and effort, because I know it's going to work out. But I need to be there with all the toys and tooling and stuff for when that epiphany happens. And I think that's probably a good piece of advice to any of the seniors who are watching this, who are, white knuckling it right now, because frankly, it is not fun. Work on things, vibe code things that are part of the solution when we come out of this. That's what I'm doing. And it gives me a lot of satisfaction. I'm learning all the technology and all of that good stuff. But in real terms, I've got will have properly tested solutions ready to go when people are ready for them. But right now, minds are closed, no consequence. All of the bad stuff is happening. You could come up with the most genius, brilliant tooling or whatever. It's not going to go down well, or at least not in my world. So I'm waiting until more minds are open. There's more of a growth mindset, and the world is ready to build the right thing. The world just wants to build stuff. And oh my God, I won't rant, but I tried to book a French parking permit yesterday. Apart from the fact it's only in French and it doesn't translate, which I think is some deliberate screw you British people. The UX was horrific. Like, there was a color-coded legend to show the color of a box beneath it. I mean, I've never seen feedback systems quite so, it's just bizarre. It's like everything that we've learned in the past 15 years, you just throw away. And because it's in our heads and it's experiential, it's not in the AI either. It's not in books, it's nowhere. And so it's just dead, it's just gone. I feel like this old Jedi mumbling these mumbling, you know what I mean? The old man Nick, he's gone mad. Yeah, I mean, knowing what to do and watching what's happening is completely bonkers.
I'm going to move on to Ana Lucia's question, and I hope she doesn't mind, but I've changed one of the words she's written due to a false friend in English. Hold on a second. I've got to hand Pier Mario my phone.
Okay, I can answer that one with a good degree of confidence, I think.
Sorry, kids, couldn't take that call while I'm broadcasting live. It's Saturday's karaoke client. We need to connect with them. So I hope Ana Lucia doesn't mind that I changed the word. There's a false friend in Italian. I assume it's also in Portuguese. So the question says, may I ask something that somewhat borders on a sensitive topic? I've noticed that service design in governmental organizations in the UK seems to be growing slowly. I'm happy with the growth because we really need more service design everywhere. But do politics influence what is researched and worked on, and how? I'm asking that because the politics in the UK have also been quite unstable. If these people work for the government, I can only wonder how that affects them.
So let me preface this by saying I've spent 2 years at the Home Office, the Cabinet Office, and the Mayor's Office. So that's at least about 5 years in central or local government, if you consider it right. So I've got a reasonably good handle on this, but it may have changed. I haven't been there since 2018. But this is true of pretty much all governments, I would imagine. But it's definitely true of the British government, right? You have the permanent politicians and the less permanent politicians, right? There's two sides of government, right? And central government, you cannot have everybody clear out every time the prime minister changes or there's a general election, because the way that passports are issued and the way that the police work and the way that the country is run wouldn't work, right? So you have this government basically is largely this unchangeable permanent thing, and right, and the departments that you are going to be working with are of that nature. What changes are the very highest levels, right? So the very top grades 1, 2, 3 sort of thing, the very high grades from the prime minister, the cabinet, and the people down, the portfolio directors. Sorry, the portfolio directors tend to be part of permanent government. They don't change. But the politicians in those top levels do. And those politicians effectively set the policies for what everybody else does, right? So, yes, you might get a little bit of a change, but generally speaking, the change happens at a more strategic level, not at a tactical level. So, first of all, service design has been a big thing in government as long as I've known that, and that's probably 10 years now. Because central government, at least the British government, is really great, or at least a good example of service design practice, because they employ so many service designers. It is a mature or reasonably mature practice in central government, where it isn't everywhere else, right? Because government and service is obviously a very big thing. It's not a product organization, it's a service organization. So, yes, getting a gig, getting a job in the British government is a great thing to do. The research and the service design side are as good as you'll find in the UK. And now there is variability, okay? But I started off as a critic of GDS. I think it's doing some sturdy work, needs some updating, but generally speaking, you try changing an entity like government or an enterprise body and make it do good user-centric work and do good service design, right? It does that. And it really does that well at scale. And I truly, truly believe that. So, yeah, don't worry about unstable government stuff, because that's at that kind of top political layer. I was at I was in City Hall when there was the changeover from Boris Johnson to Sadiq Khan. And, didn't change my life. I carried on, did my work. There's stuff is changing, stuff happens, but it won't affect you too much because you're a contractor, or we're much lower grade individuals. If you're a civil servant, you're not really that affected by it too much. I hope that answers your question.
Hey, we have another anonymous question coming in. And Dr. Nick, thanks for handling that question, which was out of my league, of course. The anonymous question says, should creative-minded people plan their days in advance or live more spontaneously? How do you define your priorities, and when do you do it? The night before, the morning of? What's your take on this? How do you balance creativity and more linear action-taking?
Well, I can give you my perspective, but mine is an ADHD perspective, which obviously puts
We
quite a
want
spin
that.
on things. I'd need to at least caveat that, or at least frame it in my neurodivergence, because I'm not much of a planner. I'm very much a spontaneous person. I'll follow ideas when they happen. I want to add that in this world of AI, everything, right? Everything is time sliced for me. And I assume it might be for you guys too, in that I'm going to set a thing running in one AI and it'll be chugging away. And I'm like, well, I'm bored. Now what? Oh, here's a thing. I'll go and ask a thing and another thing. And whilst that's chugging away, and then I've got to end up with 4 or 5 different screens chugging away, giving answers at different times, and just basically plate spinning different AI. That's effectively what my day looks like these days. So in that regard, I get to do all my creative, like if I have I'm going to post that on an idea I'll post on LinkedIn. That's one of the plates that I'm spinning, but I'm also vibe coding a platform down here, and I'm doing another thing over here. So spontaneity is basically baked into my modern working life. Priorities tend to define themselves to me. So obviously family and that kind of stuff, really important. Oh, have we gone?
No, I see you.
We've got the bandwidth has gone a bit rubbish. Hello. Sorry, small blip there in the matrix.
No problem. Probably me.
Some priorities make themselves really known. So if I've got a meeting with my boss, that sort of stuff. Yeah, they're important things. Family stuff, other stuff. But when there's if I've got a big thing coming up, I've got to do a presentation, a pitch, a conference thing, that is planned. That does go in my diary. My ADHD brain knows that there are some jobs that the 11th hour is not enough time to do as much work. So I have lots of 11 hour kind of for the week before, doing lots of late night, as if the deadline was the next day, but I do that every day for 5 days kind of thing, right? And that's what does the job for me. But only because older and ugly me knows that some stuff's just too big, right? And that's basically it. How do I balance creativity and more linear action taking? I wouldn't know linear action taking if it came and punched me in the face. I'm all about plate spinning and making it happen. And I think that's just a coping mechanism as an ADHD person, kind of dealing with the fog and the madness and the memory and the concentration. So I'm just kind of good at just landing on my feet. That's me personally, but I think that's a great life skill for everybody, is just kind of learning how to deal with it. Not just deal with it, turning lemons into lemonade, you know what I mean? Doing reprioritizing, working out what's really important, and actually not overthinking some stuff, because we're all guilty of boiling that ocean when we don't know what we're doing. So yeah, that's my answer, I think.
Yeah, thanks for that. I want to read Ana Lucia's comment, and then I'm going to give you my answer. Ana Lucia says, that's a really tough question because we have neurodiversity to consider. For me, I'm a planner, and I hate when I have to change my plans all of a sudden. I'm more productive when I can take care of my priorities, do my stuff, and then have my creative time. And of course, when everything goes according to plan. My brain likes that sort of control. So I think for the person who asked the question, there's no one right answer. We're all different people with different brains at different stages of our lives. We're all going to define creativity differently. We're all going to define action taking differently. We might even define spontaneity differently. So there's a lot of stuff in your question that doesn't make it a bad question, but it just makes it one of it's layers of it depends, because it's so unique and individual. And as we're pointing out, can also shift with neurodiversity or other diagnoses and conditions and things. So if I were to answer this personally for myself, I would say that I tend to look at what I need to get done at any given point in time. And I'm a heavy user of Google Calendar. I know that both Nick and I were just rejoicing that Google finally added back the additional colors, because we are color coders. And I've talked about this before on the channel, but one of the things that I do with Google Calendar is if something is movable, like it doesn't have a hard deadline, I color it charcoal gray. And that way, when I see it, I go, well, I can do that when the reminder comes up or when I see it's coming up, or I can move it. it doesn't have a hard deadline. If it is not gray, it usually has some sort of deadline or priority or importance, and I should not move it. So and then I have, outside of that, I have like 17 colors I'm using because that works for me, might not work for other people. So one thing I do is that means if I, like, for example, I've been sleeping really badly the last few nights, but yet in my calendar, I'd planned all kinds of work for myself in the morning, thinking I'm going to wake up, I'm going to feel awesome, I'm going to water the garden, I'm going to shower, I'm going to get to work. And then I got to my computer and felt like brain not work. And I looked at what was charcoal gray and what wasn't. And if it was charcoal gray, it got moved to the next day. And if it wasn't, I just started reordering things based on how much brain power they needed. And so I tend to organize my calendar by brain power. I know I'm usually sharpest first thing in the morning. So by the time y'all see me in these live streams, I'm technically not at my best. I'm sharpest first thing in the morning. I'm much duller now. And so I will arrange my day by sharpness. I also know I tend to fall off an energy cliff around 2 or 3 p.m. Just due to not being in a drug cycle. So, like, for example, I'm allergic to caffeine. So a lot of people are being powered through the day with espresso, coffee, caffeine, energy drinks, whatever it was. I can't do that. So whatever energy I wake up with is kind of the best that day is going to get. And from there, it is a burn down chart. So I will try to put the most thinking activities earlier in the day. Like I'm editing a book for someone right now. And right now we're in kind of a grunt work phase where I'll get emails like, on page 243, italicize this word, and over here, move this word over here. I do not have to be at my sharpest for that. So that gets moved later in the day when I am awake and alive and I want something to do, but I don't need to be at my sharpest to find the right word and make it italics. So for me, some of it is priorities and deadlines. Some of it is how well do I know myself and my own energy levels and patterns, where I know that once it's 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm not as sharp, and so I don't want to do heavier thinking stuff at that time if I don't have to. Sometimes I do have to, and I just have to take a nap or adjust or whatever. So, and also I don't think creativity and action taking are opposites and necessarily need to be balanced. Action taking can be creative. Creativity can be full of action. You know, why imagine that these are different things that need to be balanced? They might even be the same thing. Nick, something to add?
No, I don't think so. You nailed it pretty much.
Oh, well, thank you. You're always welcome to disagree, because I know that we see things differently. I'm
but
somehow still not neurodivergent.
I mean, I'm a night owl, right? Between 11 and 3 a.m., 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. is where I do all my best thinking, all my best work, where it's the least amount of, like, my brain is a donkey, right? It just doesn't really want to do stuff, right? But it'll do stuff between 11 and 3. Like, I can suggest it stuff and it'll go, okay. Whereas you try to do that to me at 9 o'clock in the morning, and there's just, unless you stick a gun at my head, it's not happening. And even then, it's going to be quite a challenge. Top piece of advice, though, for all of you neuros out there, and this is good advice for everybody, right? This is maybe just accessibility. Start. Just JF start. Just start, right? That blank page syndrome is usually because you don't know what you're doing, right? Because otherwise you would be writing the stuff down, right?
Right.
So just start. Even if you're writing absolute garbage, it's going to force you to find the stuff out that you need to know to then start writing this thing with confidence. Every single time I'm in a flow state and I'm like, shit, that wasn't so difficult, right? And it's like, well, why was I belly aching, and why was I feeling guilty and procrastinating and do all the really bad shit, when actually, once you get going, this is easy, I can smash this, right? But it's that daunting blank page starting. So the best advice I can give to other people is just start. I promise you, it sounds like...
Oh, blip, might be me. sorry, I blipped again.
Oh, yeah, no, that's it. Just start.
Yeah,
you know,
just start.
just start. The FBI.
Yeah, and I agree. And another thing that's come up for me and some of my coaching clients in the last few days is also, if it feels tough to start, look at what you're trying to do or what's on your to-do list or whatever, and see if you can break it down into even smaller pieces. And it seems like such obvious advice. And it was so funny because I gave someone that advice in a coaching session and it helped them. And then I went into a coaching session where I was the client and I hadn't even thought of that. And the coach helped me think about how I could take a couple of things on my to-do list and break them into even smaller pieces so that I would be inspired to get started. So today I did the piece that I promised I would do today. So now I'm getting started. Melanie says, Dr. Nick, your t-shirt is great. What does your shirt say? Science. It works, bitches. Awesome. Yes.
This is an original, like 20-year-old XKCD T-shirt. This is proper. This is like pride of my wardrobe kind of thing.
Yes.
Old school.
Ana Lucia says, I agree. For me, I start with a broken down to-do list to get stuff going and stop procrastinating or worrying about things. And I love the t-shirt too. Super agree. Yeah, it just start, you know, it seems so obvious, but yet we sometimes get so locked up and we don't start. And so just do something, keep moving, and eventually you'll get there.
And that's the fight, by the way, because for me, what stops me from just starting is, ooh, shiny, right? Is, oh, I'll go play drums. Ooh, I'll just go AliExpress or some doom scrolling garbage, right? Something easy dopamine shit, which is basically going, cooey, I'm the alluring easy dopamine, right? And it's like, no, right? That's the point. That if you want to CBT yourself, that's the frame of thinking you need to catch, right? That says, no, up yours, I'm doing this now. And you sit down at your laptop, your machine, pen, kitchen table, whatever, right? And you hit it, you do it, right? And you'll be like, ah, shit. And your first few thoughts will be like, no, I really don't want to do this. Let me go watch Netflix or whatever, right? But you just push through that, and it's not far to push through. It's not hard. Once you can start to develop that, it's the just start skill is a badass skill. Just try to work on it. You know, I'm constantly working on it, and I'm getting better at it. Because honestly, as a neuro, especially in the roles that I play, I don't have the luxury of having like an off day. Like, sorry, I'm not my brain. Like, I'm not really like, it's like, I've got to be on it right now. And so you just got to kind of find the mental frames of thought, the thinking that not kids yourself, but that works for you, that gets you to do the thing.
Do the thing.
Yeah, which is hard. But hey, we're all human.
It can be. Yeah. So,
Except me, by the way.
So if anybody has follow-up questions to any of the questions we had today, or new questions or topics you want to discuss, put them in the chat where you'll see they pop up next to me. Or you can send something anonymous up at the top of the screen. It says dcx.to/q for question. These come into my email and I pick them up and I paste them on the screen. Yes, exactly. I'm too far away to point at my own stuff. I'm in a box. See, I'm in a rectangle. Quick show note, since we're going to be doing these twice a month in the foreseeable future, technically our next Ask Us Anything Wednesday is August 12th. And Dr. Nick, you would be back because it would be the second Wednesday of the month. Does that work for you, sir?
Yeah, that absolutely works for me. I'll be going on holiday shortly, but I will be back for then. So yeah, looking
well, cool. I love that you're going on a holiday. Hopefully you will have the funds and the suns.
Yeah, I'm driving to France, taking the family to France, driving there, going through the Eurotunnel.
Got it. Hence looking up things in France.
Yeah, exactly. And trying to book parking and crazy stuff, right?
Can I ask which region you're going to?
Northern, sort of north, around sort of Le Touquet, La Rochelle, around there. Going to head into Paris. I was really upset to find out that the Pompidou Centre is closed for a major renovation for many, many years. Like, it doesn't open till like 2028 or 2030. which is, I mean, that's one of my favorite places in like the world. I love that place. Like the architecture, the inside, it's just cool. But it's closed, so we won't be doing that. But we'll be doing everything else. Eiffel
Yeah, I
Tower,
just wanted to give
Montmartre,
you the
Sacre.
ugly warning that we were badly burgled in a little town that's part of the greater Lyon, France area. And then when we researched it later, we found that there is a list of towns in France that are super hot for stealing cars and breaking into cars. So please be very careful. Well, everywhere, always good to be careful, but unfortunately, as far as I can tell, Lyon is built around car vehicle thefts and break-ins. The entire economy seems to run on that. So hopefully, wherever you're going, is not in a similar situation. But maybe do a little
Well,
searching
I hope
and
not.
protect yourself.
Yeah, my plan is to just dump the car and leave it. I don't really want to use the car too much, other than for some day trips. I'm going to get the train up to Paris. Like driving in Paris is nuts. I did it in a London taxi when I used to drive a London taxi to be a wedding car for a friend. Yeah, I drove around the Etoile, which was insane. Um,
Wow.
you've seen Parisians have got two cars, right? They've got a really jank jalopy, which is their town car, right? Because people park by literally just ramming into the bumpers, right? It's and every car, like, it looks like a demo derby in central Paris. Whereas, and they've all got lovely cars for just, doing local stuff. So I don't want to take my family car into that stuff. No way. It'll come back trash. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
We've got a question from Ana Lucia, and funny enough, I think I have a Take Action Tuesday show specifically coming up on this topic, so we are going to talk about it more. But Ana Lucia wants your answer to this one because mine will be in a future show, and it says, I already know Debbie's answer, many years watching the show now, but I would like to know how Dr. Nick handles situations where several teams ask for things at the same time and they all think their request has higher priority.
Yeah, that's a good question. Usually I freak out, at least personally, not publicly, right? Usually I try to get the easiest stuff out of the way and off the plate first. But there's other factors. Like if everybody thinks their stuff is the highest priority, some of it often is, and you need to work that stuff out. Often there are like stakeholder and power relationships and all that kind of stuff going on where you don't want to upset the wrong person. Other times, strategically, you can see which piece is the more important piece and needs to get done first. Or other times, there's just a weight of people saying, Nick, do this. Or we need this now. Or there's something on fire in the analytics or whatever it is, right? So that's a very much it depends kind of question. And I know that really super sucks because that happens quite a lot, right? Your own traffic management. I don't have a better answer than that. I'm really sorry for whoever answered that question.
That was Ana Lucia. I'm going to jump into another question we got. Someone wants to know, what did you want to be when you were growing up, and in what ways are you doing parts of those things now?
I love that. So when my uncle was a really big deal at NASA at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and I used to get lots and lots of satellite photos, and I always grew up wanting to be an astronaut, right? There's no way a guy like me would ever going to become an astronaut because I'm not the best of the best. My maths is pretty shocking, and I'll never be an engineer. Well, lots of good, or fly an airplane and all that stuff. I wanted to become a doctor, a medical doctor. When I was growing up, I watched Your Life in Their Hands, which was a British program which showed open heart surgery in the 70s. It was radical. I just was fascinated by that stuff, and I love everything about it. However, I'm probably undiagnosed dyscalculate, but my maths is shocking. Like, there's no way in a million years you'd let me near anybody or anything that involved anything maths and seriousness. I get decimal point errors wrong all the time. I tried to do pharmacy afterwards, and they said, "No, pal, sorry, you're not cut out for this stuff." And that was that. So ultimately, my PhD is the doctor that I could become, kind of thing, rather than being a medical doctor. But that's a crass kind of an answer. The real answer is solving problems and helping people, and using science to do that. because basically that's what a medical doctor is doing, and what a PhD doctor, or not even a PhD doctor, a UX practitioner, any of us are doing if you're using science to solve problems, right? So that's, I'm doing same but different. I'm just not working on the human body. I'm working in digital stuff. But I think a lot of the mindset in terms of diagnostics and just the complex super systems nature of it, they're just different complex systems is one way of looking at it, you know. Yeah, that's why I wear science on my heart on my shirt. It's just, it means that much to me.
And your
It really
bat.
does. Yes, my bat. You love my bat. I was got told by the most legendary man, Mr. John Kern, that I have an axe to grind, and I kind of want to say no. I have a baseball bat to swing.
Nick, based on your answer, I am once again surprised how much we have in common. You know, sometimes you and I stumble into a weird commonality. So when I was very, very little, first I thought I wanted to be a magician. And I feel like I kind of am. And then when I got a little bit older, maybe 5, 7, you know, maybe 5, 6, 7, I wanted to be TV's Wonder Woman. You know, I wanted to be Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, and I wanted to save the day and work with cool computers and beat the Nazis. And you know, I wanted to be a superhero, and I like to imagine I did become that person. But from the perspective of a career, starting when I was a little bit older, at 9, 10, I wanted to be a genetic researcher, because we had a lot of diseases in my family that were hereditary. And I thought, well, I'm a smart chick. Why can't I start working in research laboratories and understand genetics and figure out why people have diseases and cure diseases, or improve diseases or early detection, whatever it might be. And that was my dream for many years. I went into university, originally double majoring in music and chemistry. And funny enough, I was all maths and science, and I was really bad at writing. So I would say, in some ways, Debbie, your RCX Wonder Woman, says Amy. Thank you, thank you. Ana Lucia says, I wanted to be a scientist. Yeah, I think a lot of us have that in common. But I was always the problem finder and problem solver in the family. I was the troubleshooter. I think in some ways, 4-year-old me would recognize 54-year-old me, and in some ways maybe not, but I think 4-year-old me would not be tremendously surprised at 54-year-old me. We have one more anonymous question, and then I have to run and get ready for my next stream. I'll be streaming on the Vocal Coach Debbie channel in an hour if people like music. Here is our anonymous question. Let me bring it down a little bit so we can fit it all on there. This says, have you ever seen a relationship come back from a break? My partner wanted to have 1 week no contact to make sure of his feelings about me. For me, break means it's over. I'm already acting like it's the end. But I don't want to reach out to him. I want to give him the space he needs. But I'm hurting a lot. Not sure what to do with my life. I don't want to leave home. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to meet friends. I just want to sleep and wake up when the week is over. And I'm also terrified of his answer. Even though I think it's over, there's still teeny tiny hope inside me. I'm not prepared for the worst, but I should be. Nick, are you comfortable taking a personal question?
Yeah, I don't think I am, only because I don't feel like I'm even qualified to give you advice of this nature without probably getting it wrong or fluffing it up, or, you know, all I would say is from the guy's perspective, and probably quite a bastard of a guy when I was younger, like, he shouldn't need to have a break.
Agree.
Right? Like he has either into you or he's not. And it's like, I feel like you should have more self-belief and like, you know what, well, screw you, there's plenty of other fish in the sea. right? Like if you're not the guy, then I'll find the other guy, kind of thing. I need somebody who's into me, I'm into you, and if it's not reciprocal, then okay, fine. It was fun, but let's move along. I think that would be it, really. I mean, I'm sure you've probably got tons to offer, so like, why hang on this one dude? Like, I think probably, well, you 100% deserve better. I can say that with full confidence. I think that's as far as I think I can safely go without putting my foot in my mouth.
Yeah, and I'm happy to run with this one. So first of all, feeling like you don't want to leave home, you don't want to exercise, you don't want to meet friends, you just want to sleep. That does sound a bit like depression. So I am going to go ahead and recommend proper therapy, because even though Nick and I might have some interesting ideas or perspectives, we are not therapists. And this sounds like depression and it sounds like therapy territory. So please consider getting a professional mental health person that you can talk to about your feelings and experiences. Outside of that disclaimer and reminder, I definitely agree with Nick. I have never needed a 1 week break from someone I deeply loved and thought I matched well with. Amy says relationships can have breaks and be okay. Me and hubby separated for 3 years and then got back together. And again, there are certainly going to be stories from all angles. There will be the people who broke up and didn't get back together, and people who broke up and did get back together. And my stories tend to be the people I dated as a much younger person, like college, around there. Those relationships didn't work out, but now those people are some of my best friends. So the guys I dated in college are some of my best friends today. My previous boyfriend is one of my best friends today. And then there's a whole middle period in which I dated losers and they're not my friends today. And one's coming to visit next month with his wife. I'm so excited. If someone wants to not talk to you for a week because they're not sure of their feelings about you, I hear a message there. And I think the question is, why aren't you sure about your feelings for that person? What are the expectations? What needs does that person feel like aren't being met? But more importantly, let's talk about you. What needs of yours are not being met? Where do you have preferences, standards, needs for a relationship, for how you want to be treated? I started a policy many years ago, and I'm trying to remember how I phrased it. I started this in 2009, and I started saying to people, if you push me away, I'll go away. And my thought was, if you're not sure you want to be with me, if you can't tell how you feel about me, if you look at me and you don't really know what's cooking in there, and especially if you're going to push me away, like, don't talk to me, I need space. Oh, okay, I can respect that. You get all the space you want, but I'm going to start moving on. Because the right person for me picks me. Then I came up with that in 2010 into 2011 when I was very briefly dating a married man who didn't want to leave his wife. And my thought was, okay, you don't have to leave your wife. The right person for me is going to pick me. And if I'm not right for you and you're not right for me, then all right, moving on. Nick.
Let me give some. If you are depressed, if these are symptoms of depressive frames of thought, best piece of advice I can give you as somebody who experiences this stuff myself, and I'm not on antidepressants or anything, is go walking. Put your headphones on, put some music in your ears, go for a walk. It's the most incredible advice I can give anybody. It will help you be your true self again. It'll help you get the color back into you. You're drained right now, kind of thing, and you're not you, right? Take a probiotic, because that's an easy thing to do, right? Take a probiotic each day, right? Easy money. It's serotonin. It's gut brain happiness, right? Do that. Go for a walk and put music in your ears. guarantee you'll start to feel more wholesome. You'll start to feel better about yourself. You'll start looking around, or you'll realize this guy is great and the one and stuff. And you know what I mean? It's just, you can't make a good decision or be true to yourself if you're not feeling great about yourself. So just you have to do the exercise. It doesn't mean going to the gym, right? Because gym sucks, right? And it's a whole big event. But going for a stroll with your favorite banging tunes or whatever suits your mood is absolutely amazing. Just do it. JFDI, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with getting out, walking around, putting on your favorite songs, things that make you feel great, maybe something you want to sing along to. And I also worry about the I want time to think and don't talk to me during that time kind of thing, because I sometimes worry that that person is comparison shopping. Like, well, I could stay with this person. We don't know what gender you are, and it doesn't matter. I could stay with this person, or what else could be out there for me? And my thought is, it's okay for you to ask yourself the same question. You've been with this person. We don't know if this is a long or short relationship, if this is recent, or if there's marriage, or if this is living together. We don't know where you are in all of this. But I find that in nearly every case of my friends and things like that, very rarely is one person unhappy in the relationship and the other person is blissfully happy. Chances are this person is not happy in the relationship, and chances are you're not either. But you had reasons to stay. Maybe it was safe, maybe it was passionate, maybe it was fun, maybe you had good trust, maybe you're good roommates, whatever it is. But chances are, if you stop and think about that relationship, and especially compared to how you want to be treated and the type of partnership you want to have with someone, which is unique to you, I can't tell you what it should be, you will probably start to realize this might not be great for me either. And this 1 week of no talking or whatever, no contact, where I get to like use that to do your own thinking and think about what your needs and expectations and standards are. Think about how you want to be treated, and does this person treat you that well? Take anything that you gave them a pass on that you shouldn't have given them a pass on and take a second look at it, because maybe it's not the right relationship for your partner. Maybe it's not the right relationship for you. And you might decide, well, I sure learned a lot from being with that person. And now I can go into whatever's next with some fresh clarity. Nick?
Maybe. And again, I'm talking hot air right now, probably, question asker. Okay, so take this with a pinch of salt. But maybe because for reasons that are unknown to us, but reasons because of your life, and you're not feeling your full self right now, that's what your partner was picking up on, right? And that's why they've kind of pulled back a little bit. Maybe a small break is a good thing for you to get back to yourself, recharge yourself, start to feel human again, kind of thing, and then see where your relationship is at, right? I mean, maybe it's that. It's a temporary blip. Also, when we talk about depression, there are the headlines of depression are there's state and trait, right? There's state-based depression where it's a transient thing, and there's trait-based where it's, you're kind of born with it. This is almost certainly the former, right? It's a momentary lapse of reason, shall we say, right? It's a blip in time because we all live wild, crazy roller coaster lives, right? And so it's okay. You just got to do the things to bring yourself back up again. You're totally worth it, and you totally should do it, right? You've got to get back to yourself first before you can be present yourself to somebody else, shall we say, right? And I think that's probably the best thing to do is heal those immediate wounds and get back to your fighting fit self.
And I want to add one more thing, which is I'm worried about the characterization in your question that almost makes it sound like without him, you're broken. Without him, you can't function. And I want to find a gentle, loving way to say that sounds a little unhealthy. There might be an unhealthy dependence or codependence. Ana Lucia says, I'm thinking the same thing. There might be an unhealthy dependence or codependence here that, again, is worth looking at in therapy. Not something that Dr. Nick and I can work on with you. But I would take a look at that because, yes, you're allowed to grieve. This relationship sounds broken. This relationship might not recover. You are absolutely allowed to grieve. You are allowed to have downtime. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to hide from the world a little bit. But then you will eventually need to recover from that and function and live and understand the value and fantasticness in yourself. And if that guy didn't see it, he's the problem. And I don't want to see you, only because I've seen some friends do this, I don't want to see you twist into a pretzel hoping that you're going to win him back if you just smile a little more or have more sex or cook for him more or say yes to the things he's asking for. That could end up an unhealthy imbalance of power. And I don't know about you, but I want my relationships to be partnerships. I want to feel equal. I don't want to feel like if I'm not tap dancing for this guy, he's going to walk out and need a week without me. I hope that he's not pulling a power play to try to get you to be like, oh, I'll be good. I'll say yes. What do you need from me? I'll just give it to you. I used to be that doormat, and I don't want to see anybody else be that doormat. Nick, something to add?
What if? No, I've got to go because I'm busting for a pee. But also, finally, like, what if you were to say to him, okay, cool, we're going on a break. I hope you don't mind if I'm just going to go check out Tinder and some other sites during that week, right? Put the fear of, that's probably the worst advice ever. But
it's bad.
And I know there's that book that the rules, right? Keep them mean. Treat them mean, keep them keen type stuff, right? Like
that was a terrible book. I'm gonna have to.
I'm giving you the worst advice possible, so you have to ignore me. I'd make him like, yeah, right, fine. You don't even know what you're missing. But that's me. What do I know? Don't listen to me.
I don't want anybody to do anything destructive or self-destructive. I don't want anybody to do anything that is on the rebound. To me, this is a great week for you to get introspective. Go out on those walks, listen to that music, and think about how, you know what? I don't like how I feel right now. And I don't like how I feel right now because this person pulled the power play, couldn't even just break up with me, instead acted like, well, it's a trial separation. The trial separation rarely gets back together. Pepe says, oh, for a power play, there's a counter. Break sounds great. I wanted to suggest the same. Yeah, for about 10 minutes, I dated a real loser in 2011, and we were driving home from some event, I don't remember what, and I said something. He didn't like it, and he said, well, I don't like what you just said, and if you're ever going to say anything like that again, we should just break up. And this to me was an obvious manipulation and power play. And I said, that's fine by me, but will you take me home or will you leave me on the side of the highway? And he was like, oh, no, I don't want to break up. And I was like, if you give me an ultimatum, I will take the ultimatum. Because guess what? I will say something like that to you again. And if that doesn't work for you, take me home and we can certainly disconnect. And dated him for about 10 minutes after that, and then it was clear that was not working. So I think be careful of the person who might want you to hurt and might to me, I don't know enough here to know what's going on, but something about this doesn't totally add up. And I think that the trial week thing is likely to end in the relationship ending, and you should grieve and process it and take your time. But I think you're going to be better off, and you're going to eventually be grateful for this. That's just a guess. Nick, any last words here today?
I've already overstepped way too many boundaries.
Yes, we are not therapists. We are not agony aunts. We are just humans who've been through some stuff. And Deb, are you a Scorpio? No, I am not a Scorpio. So sorry, Pepe. So we're going to see Nick again on August 12th. That's when our next Ask Me Anything will be. If you send questions to dcx.to/Q, I will save them. And we will start with your questions. Otherwise, I hope people will join our Discord community. It's free, and we've got channels for both work and personal life. Maybe the person who asked the question will have a good anonymous name in Discord, and will keep us posted on how you're doing. All right, on that, I'll flame us out of here and go prep for my stream in 50 minutes. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, everybody. Have a great vacation, Nick. Bye.
See you later. Take care. Bye.